thank you for joining us. This is What Retirement Means to You with Jerry Means, financial advisor and the founder of the Means Financial Group. I'm Spike Spengel. Jerry, how are you, and what's on your mind this week?
Well, I'm doing fantastic, Spike. How are you doing?
Very good. It's been busy year, right? Lots going on, a lot to pay attention to. And when it comes to retirement advice, there's a lot of different places to get advice. So what did you want to talk about on today's show?
So I think we should talk about retirement rumors, right? Whether it's around the water cooler, the barbecue, the bar, friends and family.
Floating in the lake.
And honestly, some of the articles that are online, the great thing about Google is there's a lot of information out there. The bad thing about Google, a lot of information out there. So people trying to decipher it, YouTube, all of this different things are out there, I think kind of creates rumors. That's how rumor starts, right? There's like a little truth to it, and then it just explodes and somehow goes off the track, right, and goes somewhere else. So I think we should debunk some of those rumors today.
Fantastic. Well, the very first one that comes to mind for me is Social Security. A lot of folks are saying, I want to take my Social Security as soon as possible because I don't think it's going to be there. Now, where there's smoke, there's some fire. With this one, individually, people are getting reports that Social Security could be underfunded as soon as 2033 or 34. What do you think about Social Security not being there at all down the road?
I think that is not going to happen. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict the future. But being in this business as long as I've been in it, I don't see any politician passing a bill or doing something to take away Social Security. If you look at your Social Security statements, you're going to see that, I think it's by the year 2034, they keep changing it, but by the year 2034, that they may have to reduce benefits by 25%. I really feel like they will fix the program before that happens. I think it's one of those things they're going to make sure is there. So just drawing it early at age 62 because you're afraid that it won't be there can be a huge mistake because you're going to get a much lower benefit. People are living 20, 30 years in retirement. We're going to see that more and more. We've talked about it before. By the year 2040, 80 million people over the age of 65 in the United States. So being really smart with your Social Security is going to be crucial. And so we sit down with people and say, okay, if you need to draw early because you're retiring early, you're not going to continue working, and it's part of your income plan. I'm not saying they shouldn't draw at 62, but it should be a careful decision that they should sit down. And we do Social Security reports for clients and kind of do an analysis and a break even. And it gets pretty complicated, too much to get onto on this show. But if they come in and see us, we sit down and talk with them. That's one of the things. Is Social Security is such a big part of the retirement puzzle. I mean, it always has supposed to have been a supplement, but we know today it's still a big part of people's retirement. So let's make sure they're drawing when they should and not basing it off of some type of rumor.
Now, you helping folks out with the Social Security conversation, that's not something that you would charge for by the hour, or you get any payment from. Why would you take the time to work with people on their Social Security? Can't they just go down to the Social Security office and get that advice?
Well, the Social Security office will answer some basic questions, but they're not going to tell someone when they should draw. So we sit down, actually do some analysis. They don't want to be held accountable. I mean, it's kind of like, these are the facts, ma'am, is what you're going to get at the Social Security Department.
Pulling out a Dragnet reference there.
Yeah,
nicely done.
They're not going to look at all of your other investments and tell you what your strategy should be. And that's where we come in and do that. We're helping them with their investment portfolio, and when to draw off of their investment portfolio depends on when they should draw their Social Security. So it all kind of goes hand in hand. And we offer a no-cost consultation for people to come in and have that conversation with us. And it's worth their time to come in and have that conversation.
That's a crucial question, though. Which accounts do you either take from first or start first? Do you start Social Security and continue to let your investments grow, or do you take from your investments and let your Social Security grow? Do you have a standard answer for that?
And here's another one. Maybe you draw and your spouse doesn't, or vice versa. It's not always. I mean, we have clients come in all the time, and they're both retirement age. And they're saying, well, we were thinking about starting our Social Security, and I'll take a look and say, okay, if you're going to draw early, number one, you're locking yourself into a lower benefit. If you draw at full retirement age, you're going to lock in a higher number. And if you defer even, let's say to age 70, it goes up every year after your full retirement age, it goes up about 8% per year. So that's a pretty big increase. And when you have a married couple, and one spouse passes away, the remaining spouse gets the higher of the two checks. So often it does make sense for maybe the one with the lower benefit to go ahead and start their Social Security, because that benefit's going to go away anyhow if one of them passes away. But by leaving that bigger benefit still there, you're putting out a security blanket basically for your spouse.
Yeah. Let's take this then as the rumor. You think that Social Security in some form will at least be there. But if there were to be a 10 or 15 or 20% reduction, are there things that we can do right now to help prepare that person who's turned on that Social Security from taking any sort of 20% haircut down the road?
Well, we can't control what they're going to do about Social Security, but we can control the other assets. We can make sure they're paying lower fees, make sure they have some type of plan for longevity to draw that income, and something that's going to help combat inflation. That's one of the most overlooked things, is the inflation factor. We've seen some high inflation over the last few years, but the rule of thumb is about 3% inflation. If you're living 30 years in retirement, you might see things double, maybe once or twice. So we have to prepare for that. So looking at all of the other assets and making sure that they're all talking to each other, and we have that segregated into different buckets: an emergency bucket, an income bucket, and a growth bucket where we're using the stock market. That's some of the things that you can do to help prepare in case that does happen. But again, I don't believe Social Security is going anywhere.
So you talk a lot about the on-track retirement review. Eventually it leads to your own no-cost written financial plan from your financial advisory firm. You just discussed Social Security. What are the other elements in the review? I mean, is this a 15-minute conversation, or is this a more in-depth meeting?
Well, if you call our office, 844-878-1293, what we're offering to you is a no-cost, no obligation, on-track review. What I mean by on track is we want you to come in and see if you're on track to retire when you're ready to retire, what your goal is, your retirement goal. And if you're already retired, we want to make sure that you stay retired. If you go back to work, we want it to be a choice, not because you have to. And part of that is just sitting down and saying, okay, what is your written income plan? What is your strategy to take those assets that you've worked your whole life for and have a distribution plan? We will help you design that. We'll help you time when is the best situation for you to draw your Social Security. Should you draw and your spouse draw, or one or the other? We'll help you figure that out. What if one of you needs some type of home health care or long-term care in your retirement? We can sit down with you and design some type of plan to cover that if that need arises. We can look at what is your tax implications of your portfolio. Is there anything that we can do right now while we're in one of the lowest tax rate environments to prepare for when tax rates might go up in the future? Or you might have to make bigger withdrawals due to required minimum distributions, things like that. We will sit down and help you with all of that. We'll also work with you on your estate plan. Give us a call, 844-878-1293. No cost, no obligation. You don't have anything to lose. Come in, get a second opinion.
Couldn't have said it better myself. More of what retirement means to you with financial advisor Jerry Means right after this.
I started working in the retirement market, seeing people during the day. And what I quickly found out is they had a really unique set of challenges that were different than everyone else. They were worried about longevity and outliving their money, worried about long-term care, how they were going to leave their legacy to their children and grandchildren. So I really focused my practice on that, and that's what I've been helping people with for the last 25 years. It's an ongoing process. Life changes, family dynamics change, the markets, the political environment change. So really sitting down and have a written plan. We want to make sure that you stay on track to stay retired. Right? The worst thing is to be 80 years old, run out of money, and have to go back to work. We want to stress test all these different scenarios and make sure that their plan's going to stand the test of time. You can't do that if you don't have a written plan or a strategy in place.
Welcome back to What Retirement Means to You with financial advisor Jerry Means of the Means Financial Group. Retirement rumors, we're trying to get to the truth here. I've got both annuities are bad things, and I can't put money into a Roth because I make too much. Which one do you want to take first? Which rumor?
Let's talk about the Roth.
Okay, all right. I've heard this one many, many times over. Folks will say, I can't put money into a Roth because I have too high of an income. A little bit of research there. Yes, there are earnings thresholds on putting money into a Roth IRA. Is that the only way to use a Roth?
Yeah, so if you're a single filer and you make over $160,000 a year, you can't put money into a traditional Roth IRA. If you're a married couple and you make over $230,000, you can't put money into a traditional IRA. However, you can put money into a Roth 401k. So there's no income limits also on conversions. So if you have money in pre-tax accounts, you also can look at converting some of that money. If you're over those limits and your employer doesn't offer the Roth 401k, there is a strategy called the backdoor Roth IRA. And basically what you do is you contribute money to a non-deductible traditional IRA, then you turn around in the next year and you convert it to a Roth IRA because there's no limits on conversions. So when you put that money into the traditional IRA, there's income limits on that as well. So you can't do the tax deduction on that, but you can do a conversion down the road to a Roth because there's no limit. So it's a backdoor way of getting money into a Roth IRA. So there are lots of strategies that you can still do, but some people just say, well, I make too much, I can't put money into a Roth. And it's like, well, don't stop there. Let's look and see if there's some other solutions, because the whole idea is to get that money into tax-free accounts. Another thing that can be done is life insurance. You know, life insurance has changed. I mean, today's policies aren't the same as they were 20 or 30 years ago. You can overfund a life insurance policy. And what I mean by overfunding it is you pay way more into the policy than what the death benefit would actually cost. You're not trying to find the cheapest premium for the death benefit. You're wanting to overpay for the life insurance so that the excess money is sitting inside that policy, growing tax deferred. And you can link that cash value to things like a stock market index. So you have that money growing in that cash value, and if it's properly structured, that will compound, pay for the insurance eventually, but also you'll have this tax-deferred bucket that you can pull money out. They call them policy loans, but they're loans that you never have to pay back. But you pull that money out and it's tax-free. So I like to call it the super Roth because there's no income limits and there's no amount or limit of how much you can put into them. So it's a good plan for people that maybe are high net worth earners that can't put the money into the Roth. This is a great way to get money into a tax-free bucket.
Great strategy, shining a light on something that is completely, outside the box, but inside the box for you because you do these kinds of things all the time. Now, the other hand is that for four and a half decades, a lot of folks have already been saving tax deferred. We've got these huge accounts that are continuing to grow, and eventually you're going to have to pay those taxes when you start taking it out. Is there anything we can do with those?
Well, that's a great time to do Roth conversions. Also, maybe do some withdrawals. We've seen where people aren't taking their full deduction every year, and they've got room to have more income, and that deduction will take care of it. So maybe we make withdrawals. We don't even have to do conversions, just make withdrawals, and they're taxable withdrawals. But if they're not using all of their deduction, it's going to eat some of that up. Also, just doing the Roth conversions. Now, we have a calculator that people can go on our website and look at. It's meantaxes.com, or they can click the QR code. But basically, they can go in and put all of their pre-tax dollars in there and look at what their taxes would be over time or if they convert. But we have a strategy where we can sit down with them. Once this calculator is just really to open their eyes and to give them a free report so they can really see where they're at, because it can be pretty eye-opening. But when they sit down with us, we're going to put them through a longer process and show them, okay, here's the strategy that we really should do. Maybe we should convert a certain amount over a 5-year period or a 7-year period. And we're going to look at things like how is that going to affect their taxation on your Social Security, your tax brackets, IRMA, which can be a surcharge on your Medicare premiums.
All right, so on the screen right now is meantaxes.com. Absolutely free tool. As Jerry said, you'll put in a couple of inputs and you will immediately get a report that's going to show you how much you owe in taxes on all of those tax-deferred accounts. Then it's what do you do with it? So go to meantaxes.com, or you can scan this QR code over here with the camera function on your phone and click on that. It'll take you right there. Fast, easy, and absolutely free. So the show is interactive. You can do that right now or have your spouse do it with you. Say, all right, what do we owe in taxes on those accounts? Then it's how do we strategize? How do we possibly bring that down? I gave you another retirement rumor as well, because I read this all the time. Still, people will say in chat rooms online, you got to stay out of chat rooms, folks. Dangerous place to go. No more in the chat rooms. A bad place to be to find out information. But still, that annuities are risky investments. They're illiquid. They have really, really high fees. It seems like it's like half the crowd thinks that way, and half the crowd sees that it's a tool that you can use to help you create income for the rest of your life. Which is right, Jerry?
Well, they're both right. There are annuities that have fees and that they have risk. Those are called variable annuities. And they can be some of the most expensive investment vehicles that you can buy, because those charges sometimes can add up to 3 or 4%, and they're in the market. So you got the fluctuation of the market plus the fees. However, on the other end of the spectrum, you've got fixed rate annuities where you know exactly how much you're going to make every single year. You can just withdraw the interest if you want. You can do 10% free withdrawals of the total account value, or you can design it to have an income plan. There's hybrids called the fixed indexed annuity, where if you're not happy with the fixed rates, but you want to try to get a little bit higher yield, you can link some of the growth to a stock market index up to a certain amount. They have things called participation rates, where maybe that pays 70% of what the market does. They have caps where you get 100% participation, but only to a certain level, so it's capped at maybe 9%. So there's vehicles right like that right now. So if you don't know which way the market's going to go in the next 12 months, and I don't think anyone does, and we've seen a lot of volatility, you know that you can put that money in there, and a year from now, the worst thing that happens is you wake up with the same amount of money that you started with. But if the market does really well, you get to participate in that up to, let's say, a 9% cap. They're all different. You know, every insurance company has different caps and rates. I'm just giving that as an example. But it's a big rumor just to blanket all annuities together, because there's different types of annuities. Some are designed just to be principal protection. Some are designed to have a death benefit. Some are designed for guaranteed lifetime income. You know, so there's all these different tools, but they get lumped into.
Are they all
annuities.
completely illiquid? And where did that rumor come from?
So annuities have surrender charge schedules. So like I said, on the shorter, like fixed guarantees, maybe it's a 3-year rate or a 5-year rate or term, excuse me. If you cash all of the money out within that term, you're going to pay a charge to get out of it. So it's not illiquid. You can get it out. It's just there's a charge to get it out early if you break the contract, just like any other contract. It's the same thing with the fixed or the variables. Maybe it's a 7-year contract, 10-year contract. You can pull 10% per year out, so it's not illiquid. And you can cash it out if you really need to. And a lot of them will waive charges for home health care or long-term care, death, of course, terminal illness. So people say, well, yeah, what if I need the money? What if there's an emergency? A lot of them have an out for that. You know, now there's some qualifications, you know, maybe you have to be in the nursing home 60 consecutive days before they'll waive it. But there are some outs. So saying that they're illiquid isn't accurate. There's just charges to get out early if you don't have a good reason for it, because it's a contract.
It's just interesting how people will look at it through a specific lens, and you'll hear that phrase over and over again. I mean, it's the same thing with a car lease. You try to get out of that car lease early, there's going to be costs. There's going to be fees to it. You get out of a rental lease of an apartment, or there's going to be costs. There's going to be fees to it. Yeah. And if you're putting in a large chunk of money, like how many times in your life do you have a $300,000 or $400,000 emergency that you need to have everything liquid right away? The other aspect to that is you wouldn't put all of somebody's life savings into one instrument like that. You're only talking about a portion of it.
That's right. Usually for the safety part of the portfolio or for the income planning part of the portfolio. That's what we use it for in our practice, is that income bucket. All
right. So let's get your on-track retirement review quickly. Give 5 elements. When people call that phone number, you're going to hit all 5 elements on a review. What are those?
Well, number one, we want to look at taxes. We've talked about that earlier, and you can start with our tax calculator. But if you give us a call, 844-878-1293, we're going to give you a no-cost, no-obligation on-track review. We'll look at your taxes, do some forecasting, see what we can do to help you. We're going to look at the risk in your portfolio. Are you taking more risk than you need to? What are your fees? We're going to address the fees in your portfolio. We're going to give you a written income plan. We're going to talk to you about home health care, long-term care. If you're going to live 20 years in retirement and you're going to need some type of care, we want to have a plan for that. And as a bonus, I know you said 5, Spike, but the 6th one is estate planning, right? We want to talk about how are we going to pass the wealth on to the next generation and make sure that your wishes are out there for them to understand. So we can help you with that. There's no cost, no obligation to meet with us. We'll talk to you. We'll design a plan. And then if you want to implement that with us, that's fantastic. But our goal is to leave you better than we found you. Give us a call, 844-878-1293.
We're going to address the rumor of, I don't need an estate plan. I don't need to worry about long-term care because my kids will take care of me as we get older in retirement. When we get back right after this, you're watching What Retirement Means to You with Jerry Means. Call that phone number right now. Get started on your own on-track retirement review. We'll be right back.
We know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took a major hit.
Well, my investments are tanking. My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the fourth worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. I'm Jerry Means with Means Financial Group. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. All of our advisors are fiduciaries, specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your own complimentary portfolio review and tax analysis.
Welcome back to What Retirement Means to You with financial advisor Jerry Means. What retirement rumors have you heard? What are you basing your decisions on how you're planning for retirement? Jerry, I've heard this one from my own father, and sometimes it makes me a little bit nervous. He says, I'm not going to worry about long-term care insurance because I've got you guys, you and your brother, to take care of us when we get older later. Is this a lot of stress to put on the next generation to say that they're going to be able to take care of their parents as everybody gets older?
100%. And I can tell you that sometimes the kids even will have the best intentions and tell mom or dad, don't worry, I'm going to take care of you. Maybe they're even a nurse, right? I'm a nurse, I can take care of you. But there's some care you just can't get at home that you have to get in a facility. So number one, you might need care just not by choice, but because it's necessary. But I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this 27 years. I've seen my clients age over time. I've seen kids try to take care of them, and I've seen them get stressed out about it. I've seen it pull families apart. I've seen it work too, to be fair. I have seen some kids that are able to take care of mom or dad, but not everyone's able to do that. I've seen where the kids were taking care of mom or dad, they got sick, right? And now and maybe they got sick because they were so stressed out and trying to do this. I think most people don't really want to put that burden on their children. They just don't know what to do because they don't really understand these long-term care plans, or they feel like they can't afford them. They hear about these the premium increases, but there's plans out there where you can lock in rates. And so we sit down and we have that conversation. It's not a fun conversation, Spike. We do it, but it's necessary, right? I'm a retirement planner. It's something that has to be addressed. But once it's addressed, I feel like people always feel better. I'm so happy we took care of that. It's such a weight off my shoulder. And the kids are grateful too, like you said, because of course they're going to say, I'm going to take care of you, mom or dad, but sometimes they can't do that.
Space, distance, time, energy, all of these things can be difficult on all of the family to try to figure this out. I know nobody says it's fun to have this conversation, but there are strong tools that can give us an optimistic outlook. So how exactly do we use the tools to maybe leverage what we've already saved if mom and dad need that care eventually?
Well, I've mentioned before, I'm not a big fan of the traditional long-term care. Very expensive. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? You pay that premium in. It's like your homeowners or your car insurance, and some people are okay with that. But just like homeowners and car insurance, the rates go up. And I've seen some people have their rates double or triple, even over a 10-year period. So you may be able to afford it now, but as you get older, and you're on a limited income or a fixed income, and that expense continues to go up, and it goes up more than regular inflation, that can be very difficult. So I like alternative methods. One of my favorite ones is something called asset-based long-term care. Basically, they can do what's called a 10-pay, where they make a payment every year for 10 years, and then they're done, and it's a fixed payment. Or they can put all the money in up front in a lump sum. But what's great about that product is it has what's called a tax-free death benefit. So if the client dies and never uses the money, it's not just gone. It goes to their heirs with a death benefit above what they put into it, and it's tax-free. The second thing is if they ever want out of the plan and decide, hey, there's a better mousetrap out there that we can use or a different vehicle that gets developed, we can cash that out. And in some of them, if you're in it at least 5 years, you can get 100% of your money back out. But a lot of them at least offer about a 75% cash surrender. So the money is in there if they need it. So if they have money sitting in a money market, earning 4 or 5%, why not put it in this vehicle, earn interest on it, have a death benefit, but it also pays 3 to 4 times in most cases what you put in towards long-term care. So it's a great source to use. So I really like that vehicle, and when I show that to clients, you're like, wow, this is kind of a no-brainer, especially if they have the money in another asset that's not really yielding much. Why not put it in and have it as a triple threat, right?
Yeah.
Another thing is life insurance. I know we've talked a lot on this show about life insurance, but I just think it's overlooked because not only can you have cash value that grows tax deferred, pull money out tax-free if it's properly structured, leave a big tax-free death benefit to your heirs, but in some of those policies, they have what's called a living benefit rider, where you can pull the death benefit out early while you're living to use it for long-term care or home health care. So what a great benefit, right? I mean, it leaves less to the legacy on the life insurance side, but you have your other assets secure for you and for your family, so it can be a great tool.
Yeah. One last and very quickly retirement rumor, I've heard this before myself, is that people will say, I don't need a trust. A trust is for the super wealthy. I'll just put together a will. It's going to cover everything. Do you need a trust to make sure that your estate plan is completely covered?
Well, first of all, a will does not avoid probate, and it's public. So if you're a private person and you don't want people to know what you're leaving behind, a will is not going to fix that problem. But I do think people should have a will because it's kind of a catch-all for anything that you don't have a properly named beneficiary on, but it does not avoid probate, and it can really draw the process out. But I do believe people need a healthcare directive and a durable power of attorney for finance. A trust, it depends on the situation. It's not just for the ultra-wealthy. Let's say that you have a child that's disabled. You know, maybe you want to make sure they're taken care of when you're gone. Maybe you have a spendthrift child that you don't want them to get all that money all at once. Maybe you're in a second marriage and you want to make sure that your family's not disinherited, right? Or that your spouse's family's not disinherited. You want to be fair. A trust can help do that. There's also some asset protection with trust. So we don't do trust in our office, but we have the conversation with clients, and we have attorneys that we can refer them to that actually will sit down with them and give them a no cost, no consultation even on the trusts.
All right. We addressed some retirement rumors that you may have come across on the internet yourself, but I'm sure you hear these things all of the time inside your offices. You like untangling these knots for folks, don't you?
I do. You know, it's my passion. If you give us a call, 844-878-1293, we can help you with these things. Come in. There's no cost, no obligation. We'll just have a nice visit. We'll get to know each other, find out what you're concerned about, and we'll design a plan for you, a written income plan, a long-term care plan. We can do all of that for you. Just give us a call, 844-878-1293.
Thank you so much for watching today's program. As Jerry said, call that phone number right now down on the bottom of the screen. Get started on your own no-cost written financial plan for retirement by getting started on your On Track Retirement Review. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week.